what God revealed to Hermes Trismegistus, as what we know as Thoth. Hermes Trismegistus was a man who lived between 25,000 BC to 20,000 BC. We don't have enough information about his life, but the most important thing is that according to the reports we have, and after a revelation made to him by God, he wrote the things he learned and saw in 42 books. Now we know him as Thoth, also the Atlantean. He wrote books on the Emerald Tablets, and I have a playlist of them in my videos, the Emerald Tablets, the Thoth of the Atlantean, and he talks about tremendous philosophy there, tremendous ancient technology. He also talks about the fact that they abused their technology. They knew they were not supposed to do that, and it was just a matter of time, Thoth says, before divine intervention put an end to Atlantis, because they were even abusing their technology to the detriment of humankind. They had interstellar travel, but they also were able to switch from one dimension to the other, interdimensional travel. Now, he wrote 42 books, the philosophy and technology that they had, and again, they're on the Emerald Tablets, and it would benefit you to listen to them because it's a very good discussion point. Now, of these books, we have few things. He also says that before the Atlantis sinking, a lot of Atlanteans left and created new colonies and new cities in other areas of the world. The first thing they did was build pyramids. He says he also had a spacecraft that he has hidden under one of the Sphinx in Giza, Egypt. Now that's all in the Emerald Tablets. There's so much in there. Now, of these books, we have few things in our hands. As it is said, they were in the Library of Alexandria in Egypt, the library that burned down. They were burned or hidden so that no one knew how the truth about the relationship of the Greek spirit with Christianity. So you see them, as you'll find, evidence is mentioned that shows that not only did the people in those years know God, but they knew things that we learn now in our days. Hermes had Asclepius as his student. He was the father of medicine. So Hermes had Asclepius as his student, from whom he learned what he knew. But when he tried to teach people about the one God, he was killed by Zeus, who did not want all this to be revealed to the world. So as these texts were banned from being read, few paid attention to them. And luckily for us, they were copied so that they are still available for us today to study. So in this article, we'll see some of the texts with comments numbered to make them easier to understand. Let's start with the first part of the second, and the second will follow in a second article. As the writer says, as I pondered one day on the subject of the creation of beings, with my power diminished as if I had fallen into a deep sleep or physical coma, with my senses paralyzed, I heard a supersized, unlimited being calling me by my name, saying, "What do you see, learn, and get to know, Hermes?" "Who are you?" I told him. Pandres, the mind of authority. 1. Hermes saw a being which he could not perceive with his senses. 2. Mind of authority, probably what we call divine providence. I know what you want to know, and I am with you everywhere. And I tell him what I want to learn about beings, to understand nature, to know God, how I want to hear you. And he answers, keep in mind what you have to learn, and I will teach you. As he said this, he was transformed, and in the twinkle of an eye, everything opened before me. Then I saw a sight flooded with light, and was dismayed. After a little while, I saw a descending darkness, partly born on one side, terrible and stark in a spiral formation. I also saw the darkness change into a moist nature, unimaginably turbulent, from the depths of which came burning smoke. And I also heard an unutterable, heartbreaking sound, and an inarticulate shout in the voice of fire. And from the light, holy word prevailed in the wet nature, and an unrestrained fire sprang from it upwards. It was light and penetrating and at the same time active, and the air, being light, followed the spirit and started from the earth and the water. It ascended by itself towards the fire, giving the impression that it was hanging from it. The earth and the water remained mixed by themselves, so that the earth did not separate from the water. And as they moved with the spiritual word, that acted upon them, they made sounds. And Pandres said to me, "Did you understand this vision?" And I told him I would figure it out. That light said, "I am the mind, your God, who pre-existed from the liquid nature created from the darkness, and the luminous word created from the mind, is the Son of God." So the Word is the Son of God. Jesus Christ, Logos, Jesus Christ, the Word of God. 3. The word saint, as we see, existed since ancient times. 4. The mixture of earth and water, as we see, exists in Greek literature before the Old Testament. 5. Talk about God. 6. God existing before all ages. 7. The terminology of Christianity, we see that it existed. Christ is also called the Word of God here. How did this happen, I say? Learn the following. What you see and hear from within is the word of the Lord, and the mind is God the Father. One from the other are not separated, as their union constitutes life. In other words, the triune God is not separated, it's united. Thank you, I told him, but perceive the light and recognize it. After telling me this, he looked into my eyes for a long time, making me tremble at the sight of him. And when he raised his gaze, I see in my mind that the light is among countless forces, that an infinite world has been created, that the fire is surrounded by some enormous force, gaining stability. I understood all this by seeing them through the words of Pandres. Pandres is also Pimendes, meaning shepherd. And while I was surprised, he tells me again, with your mind you saw the archetypal form that precedes the infinite beginning. Pandres told me this. And the elements of nature, I ask, where were they created from? And he answers me about them. From the will of God, which took the word, and seeing the beautiful order of the world, imitated it, since it too was transformed into a world using its own creations and elements, the souls. 8. God the Father is inseparable from the Son and Word of the Father. 9. By the term fire, it means energy. 10. Archetypal energy is the energy, the existence, if you will, before the universe was formed. 11. The will of God created souls. And the God mind, who has no gender, since he is life and light, created with a word another creator mind, who, like the God of fire and spirit, created 7 other governors, who in circles contained the sensible world, and their governance is called Imarmeni. From the somewhat heavy elements, the word of God immediately sprang to the pure creation of nature and united with the creator mind, as they are composed of the same essence. And so the heavier metals of nature were left without logic, so that they were composed only of matter. And the creator mind, together with the word, that is, God together with the Son, who encloses the circles and turns them with noise, turned to his creations and let them turn from an unlimited beginning to an infinite end, as they start from the point where they stop. 12. This statement about God's lack of sex should be taken for granted, since the concept of sex has meaning for imperfect beings that reproduce by complex processes. 13. The creator mind created is the ancient of all days, as Enoch says, or if you like, the first Elohim, created with just a thought of God, and he is the God of energy. 14. The first Elohim created 7 commanders. These administrators are spiritual creations and control the seven heavens, as Christian orthodoxy says, or otherwise the seven spheres that contain the sensible world. They are not angels, but we could say that they are some kind of mechanisms beyond our intelligence, and they make sure that everything moves based on the Imarmeni, God's plan in which we all live. The creator mind is now called the God of energy and mind, that is, he has an energy body as well as a spirit. 15. It is clarified that God is one thing and the creator mind is another. 16. The creator mind is also had his own creations. 17. Talk about universe without end. At this point I considered it appropriate, although we will see it in the next article, to quote the prayer of Hermes Trismegistus for God thousands of years ago. It would be good to call it here. Holy God and Father of all, holy is God, whose will is accomplished through his own powers. Holy is God, who wishes to be recognized and is recognized by his people. Holy are you, who with your word gave constitution to beings. Holy are you with all nature, that all nature was created in your image. You are holy, whom nature did not fashion. You are holy, the strongest of all powers. You are holy, the highest of all excellences. You are holy, the highest of praises. Accept the pure sacrifices expressed in words from the soul and the heart which rises to you. Exclaim effervescence, effervesce, manifest in silence. Enlighten and strengthen me, who ask you not to fall outside the knowledge related to our essence, and with this grace I will enlighten those of my race who are in ignorance, my brothers and your sons. For this reason I believe and become a witness. I join life in light. Glorified are you, Father. Your man wishes to become holy with you, as you have given him all power. Finally, a source in which you can read the text is the following. It's Greek and Latin. Hermes Trismegistus Pimander. It's an article. Editor is Dimitris Papadoulis from Theatignosi, meaning invisible knowledge. This I've translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.